Laura is not here. It is 7:35. I'll go ahead and officially call the meeting to order. The first order of business is we'll go ahead and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll go ahead and call roll, and since Laura's not here after that, we can nominate somebody to go ahead and run the meeting. So, Assessor Moylan Cry, Highway Commissioner Kazmierczak here, Clerk Giovanni is here, Supervisor Morask is not here, Trustee Jones, Trustee McKenzie, here, Trustee Carabota, here, and Trustee Sweet.
Here.
Having done the roll call, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to nominate Dave Carabota
I was
to,
actually nominating Mackenzie.
I think
You
I said
interrupted
first.
me?
No, I think I raised my hand and you
No,
looked
you
at me.
didn't. My hand was up.
Yes, I did.
Okay, Susan. I nominate her.
Okay.
Well, I guess one's a motion, so we have to take one first and then do the next. Vote on that first and then
I
see if
move to
somebody's.
nominate Dave Carabota.
I think we should replay the tape.
There's gotta be a
because my hand
second.
was up first.
Is there a second on that?
One second.
All right, having a first and a second, go ahead and call the roll. Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweetie?
Yes.
Calling the meeting to order. Our first issue is going to be presentation of check to the Honor Flight Chicago. Is there a representative, and are we going to proceed that?
We do. We have Ron Wolflick here from Honor Flight Chicago, and it is my honor to present them with our $1,000 check that we've done for the last several years. It's something that Clerk Gary Warner started. And no taxpayer funds are used for this. This is something that we give back to Honor Flight through the monies we raise from being a passport agent. So we feel it's a worthy cause and certainly something that we'd like to support. Anytime we can give back to the veterans is a good thing. So if you'd like to come up and be
And
happy to
Clerk, you
present.
on this one, if you can, step in the front, why don't we step behind? And we'll have a picture taken.
Yeah. We have somebody here that can take one?
Yeah.
That'd be, oh, you got it. Okay.
You could make it.
How many people have gone this year? How many
About 750.
750. Wow, that's great.
Oh, I thought you said you
What looks best, Dan?
Wait, let me show the checks.
There we go.
Look better.
Then an envelope, yeah, that's probably.
Give me a second here.
No problem.
I'll turn it.
See, you thought you were done with Christmas, you're still open.
Let me see what this is. How's that?
There we go, sounds great.
Okay, great.
Make this look good.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Chris.
again.
Guys, I'll give you a quick update. So if you have
Yeah, we do. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to hear a quick update.
We've got, come on right here.
It's on the record. Yeah, don't forget that.
Well, thanks for having me. I missed last year, I apologize for that. I'm glad we were able to meet. We did 95 flights this year for Honor Flight, 95
Wow.
so far. And we've flown almost 9,000 veterans, mostly World War II. We're doing Korean vets, of course, and Vietnam vets. So we've done, about 450 Vietnam vets this year. So we've got 2,500 Vietnam veterans on the wait list right now, and it grows every day. So we're really happy to get the Vietnam guys and gals that were in the field. So if you all help us, the public too, we're trying to find more veterans all the time. We already have 18 World War II vets stacked up for May. It's our first flights in May. Normally it's in April, but the MAX issue with Southwest 737, we're about a month delayed because of the airplane. So we'll start in May, the 6 flights next year. So we hope that we'll break 100 flights and over 10,000 vets this year coming up in 2020. So anyway, the Vietnam vets are special people, as you know, and we thought we had a problem recruiting them, but on the contrary, they're signing up, and their friends are signing up, getting a lot of buddies going together, and it's still free, of course. So Southwest keeps raising our fares, but it's still a fair price for the most part, and we have a lot of volunteers. So Midway is almost finished with their construction. Kind of hampered our good welcome home, it's been half what it normally is because of the construction going on. So I think after next year, we'll be back to normal with 4,000 people on the plan and everything. So right now, it's still kind of a smaller welcome home. Vets have no idea what we do. It hurts us because it's smaller than we used to have. I have some challenge points for you. These go back to World War I, challenge points, and I want to give them to the board because no one else helps us like you do in Northern Illinois like this. No other township or city or town helps us like you do. No one does this. We've had schools, but no communities like this that pitch in. So we appreciate every dime that comes in. It's all for free. We have 2.5 paid employees. It's all volunteers. We're all volunteers. And every dime that comes in goes right to the veterans. So you guys are the first. Have always been the first with Gary, whatever, and Pete. And no one else helps like you do. We appreciate that. These challenge ones go back to World War I. And then the RAF in England. When you walked into a bar in England, an RAF, and you were a pilot, or a squadron that worked in it, whatever, was through a muster. If you didn't have a challenge point for your squadron, you had to buy the entire bar of a drink in the RAF back in England, wine, beer, and all. So remember when you get to issue a challenge point to somebody, you normally shake their hand, so then it's in a coin like this, and now they have coins. So you're getting Korean War veteran coins. We have 3 different varieties, Vietnam, Korean, and World War II. So I want you to have these, and now you're ambassadors, and hopefully if you have a vet in your family, you can share with them too. So I'll just pass them on to you real quick, and I'll get out of here, and I'll take up the board meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pete, do you think one for Gary?
Can I give one to the?
Yeah, that would be Laura's.
I have 10, if that's enough.
Yeah, that'll do us.
We're missing some people.
If you wouldn't mind, I'll take one for Gary, that'd be great. And then
And
then Wally, and then I can get one to Susan as well.
Sure.
Good,
Yeah, in
yeah.
the back.
Yeah, we're set, that'll do us.
I'll give it to you properly, so I can handshake. Okay, thanks. I'm gonna take up more time, but thanks for having us.
Do you know how many Maine Township veterans we've actually?
Probably about 60 and 70, I believe. They're working hard.
Last year? Or-
No, since you guys
Since we
started.
started.
Yeah, almost 100, yeah. And it's through Gary, of course. How's he, I haven't talked, is he doing okay? I haven't talked.
I spoke to him earlier today, he's doing great, he said to say hello.
Give him my best.
Will do.
But because of people like you, we stay in business with the veterans, and it's really wonderful. So I appreciate it very much, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Sorry I couldn't make it last year.
Happy New Year to you.
Have a motion for approval of the minutes of the November 26, 2019 bill pay review.
Motion to approve the minutes of the November 26th bill pay.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Peter, if you could take the roll.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Have a motion for approval of minutes of November 26, 2019 board meeting.
Motion to approve minutes of the November 26, 2019 board meeting.
Have a second?
Second.
For discussion? Seeing no discussion, Peter, could you take the roll?
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Have a motion for approval of general assistance expenditures.
Motion to approve. The right one, hold on.
You want it? Here. Oh, you do.
General assistance. Thank you. Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of November 29th, 2019 and December 13th, 2019, and general assistance checks number 52370 through check number 52433 in the amount of $53,550.60.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, Peter, can you take the roll?
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Can I have a motion for approval of road district expenditures?
Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of November 29th, 2019 and December 13th, 2019, and road district checks numbers 21148 through check number 21189 in the amount of $90,635.58.
Have a second.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, Peter, if you take the roll.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweet?
Yes.
Motion for, can I have a motion for approval of the general town fund expenditures?
Motion to approve payroll for pay dates of November 29th, 2019 and December 13th, 2019, and general town fund checks numbers 57338 through check number 57418 in the amount of $355,850.56.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Not seeing any discussion, Clerk Giovanni, take the roll.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweet?
Yes.
Now we set point where we have public participation. Is there any public participation for the meeting tonight? Seeing none, we move on to old business. First is discussion and vote on anticipated needs for quarterly service of Barton Marketing Group as recommended in Administrator Editorial Calendar Report. The Administrator's Editorial Calendar Report.
Okay, I don't know if you need me to read through, everything that I put in your board distribution. If you have any questions, I'll just kind of summarize it for January.
Can you do it the phone?
Yeah, you want me to come up
Yeah,
with
great.
Okay, so for January, you'll see that there are 10 hours, so that's a little more than normal, but because we do the mailing news quarterly, that's actually coming up again, that we start working on the spring edition, so that's kind of where the hours are adding up. So if you have any questions, let me know about that, but then you'll notice, okay, so it's a total, which is on the next page, of 16.5 hours, so it's 10 hours for the mailing news, and then there are some press releases. One is for written for the assessor's office, which is, I believe there are a couple of them there. The next bullet points, and then he does ask for 1 hour each month that you'll see for each month, just for admin purposes, and that's just emailing and phone calls and getting these clippings together, which I do think is reasonable. So for January, we are at 16.5. For February, we are only at 3.5. Again, obviously the newsletter is not in there. The Sergeant's Karen Leader Good Citizen Award, which we do every year. I would like him to do a little PR on that, seeking nominations. We give that award at the annual town meeting every year. The assessor's offices, I don't have Liz or Susie here, so I don't really want to comment too much on this, but the assessor's office is asking for a press release to go out in February as the second bullet point. And then again for the admin hour is the third bullet point in February for a total of 3.5. And then in March, we thought maybe a feature story on Recovery Connection. It's such a good program. I feel like it doesn't get enough PR, and I think that Marty and his group just do such a great job, and I know they're always expanding and looking for more people to come to their groups, so I thought maybe we could let the community know more about that program. Then we have the shredding document that's coming up. That happens every June. Countryside Saloon, which is down the street, they always do a big check presentation. I think that's a good photo opportunity. That should go in the newspaper. They're very, very generous, so I think they should.
That's the food pantry.
That's the food pantry, and I think we should let the community know that. I think it's $50,000. We are thinking of doing something called Township Day in June. We're not quite sure, it's still in the works. So when we get more details, we can let everybody know. But right now, I'm recommending like 1.5 hours for that, and then the admin for 1 hour. So that's a total of 7 hours for March.
So that's a new event.
It's a new event that probably will be taking place in place of the Senior Expo.
Could we look at approval for 2 months instead of 3, since we're not sure what we're doing with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the board. I thought we discussed quarterly, but yeah, I mean, you're welcome to approve whatever you'd like, of course.
So, and I have a question about, so for the assessor's office, first of all, one thought is, why would we need 2 separate press releases? Could they not be covered in one press release, mentioning that there's the senior and the freeze exemptions and the senior exemption, and then there's also the issue of, I guess, this new, letting people know that there's, for the first time, for the first installment, that you can look online.
I'm not super
And
comfortable
the fact-
answering that for Susie,
And the fact
combining
that,
that into one press release, if that's something that you're suggesting.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just kind of a bullet point.
Right,
That
right,
there's,
right.
you
I
know,
mean,
that
we
this
could
is
see-
online, and that there's, you know, that,
Right.
you know, and the exemptions in January.
Right, I mean, it's just.
Because it's
sure.
December, it's, what's the
Right, it's
date?
the same month.
Yeah,
Right, so
today
we
is almost
Right, I mean-
January 1st, so if we're talking about doing this now.
Right.
It's
The only thing, unless she wanted them to come out different times of the month, but I don't remember her telling me that, so
I would just suggest that we
Right.
combine it as one.
right. So are you suggesting then shortening the hours because of that, or?
Yeah, because I would
Okay.
think you could do it all, in, I don't know, it takes
Right.
2 hours instead of an hour and a half.
Mhm.
And you're basically sending one release out,
Right,
putting the,
so you want to take away one of the 1.5 hours?
But
You
change,
mean
but you're
for
change
January?
one to 2, or?
I guess 2 hours total for both.
2 hours
I don't know
total.
I don't know what's reasonable, but I would think you'd be able to. Just put it all
Well,
on.
he bills his time, right, so it's more than just for it.
He does, although what I usually do is I usually email him the day after the board meeting and tell him what you guys have approved, and he
Yeah.
usually sticks to that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be better.
So if you say 2, he'll bill 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so should we do 2 hours for both?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in regards to the agency funding, I mean, do we need something separate, or, I mean, we should put something on the website, I would think, about,
Where are you looking?
oh, the first page.
Second bullet point. So this was actually approved in November, and he never really did anything with it because we didn't actually get the agencies that were approved and how much they were approved for, but now that we have that information, obviously he's
Oh,
going to
so we
follow
never
through with
bid
that.
for that.
We never billed for that, so I didn't know if I should actually put this on here or not.
Was it approved for the same number of hours?
It was, yes, yeah. So,
That's good that you did.
yeah. So it was technically approved, but I just wanted you to see that he's now going,
Is
so
that
I,
why we had the January 6th date on that?
right, so I didn't want you to see it on a future bill and then wonder why, since it was
Okay.
approved in November.
And do you, as far as the, just going back to the first bullet point, which is in reference to assembling the mainly news, the 10 hours, what is he typically spent for the quarterly mainly news? Is it 10 hours?
I believe it is. Well, I mean, this is, you know, the paragraph kind of lets you know exactly what he's doing, you know, in a very short summary.
And you've had interaction with Mr. Bartlett, he's told you.
It's going back and forth with him, you know, on gathering the articles from the department heads and editing and coming up with content, and it is, I have to say, it's very time consuming. And then, you know, dealing with the post office and dealing with the printers, and we have a graphic designer. I know it doesn't maybe look like that much because it all comes together, you know, it looks like very smoothly, but there's
Yeah, was
a
it?
lot of holes in the alley, you know, there's a lot to it, there is, and,
When, you know, when he puts edit/write, does he write the text, or, because, I mean, there's the travel agencies and other people involved, and, well, the.
Oh, you mean the
tour
ads?
Yeah, the ads for the tours. and the
He doesn't
different-
necessarily write the ads per se, but the articles will get text, say, from the department heads, but a lot of times he'll rewrite those. And sometimes there's too many words or not
Make
enough
amendments,
words.
yeah.
It is time consuming. We have to fit each article in a certain amount of space, so sometimes he has to whittle it down or add, just so everything fits perfect.
Right.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time, yeah. And then we want to make sure each ad fits, because those people pay money. So, and if they pay for a quarter page, it has to fit exactly a quarter page or a half page.
Right. Okay.
So, any other further discussion? I make a motion to approve the memorandum billing presented by Administrator Dan Berman regarding Mr. Barton's services to the board with two amendments. One is the right press release for the assessor's office under January 2020 is combined with the press release for assessor's office February 2020 at a combined rate of 2 hours. Second amendment would be,
They're both in January, right?
no, one's in February. Right, am I wrong?
Well, I was suggesting,
1 hour each.
yeah.
I think they're both
I was
in
suggesting
both in
these
January.
combined.
Well, this is
I'm
administration.
sorry, it's these two.
Oh, these, okay, so all
Right.
right, so the motion would then be, the amendment would be to
Combine the two in
combine the
January.
2 in January right press release for assessor's office initially at 1.5 hours, and the second in January right press release for assessor's office 1.5 hours is combined for a total of 2 hours. That would be the first amendment. And the second amendment would be not to hold off on March 2020, you were saying, or hold back on March 2020, that we just approve January, February at this time.
Second,
Why are we hoping at March 2020?
I mean, one, we have time, and we don't know what's involved in this township day, we haven't discussed it, it's something brand new. So I just thought we could,
Okay.
we don't have any information on it.
Oh, we can call.
He's signing this amount, he's gonna give us this amount. Well, how about if we just leave out the township day and we can amend for that?
Okay,
Right, then I would amend my motion then to say, the second amendment would be not to delete March 2020, but to include March 2020, but not to include, at this time, reserved the township day hourly time. Go to the second one.
second,
Any further discussion? Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Clerk Joe, how do you call the roll on the motion?
Trustee Jones? Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabona?
Yes.
Trustee Swing?
yes.
Recreational, we have a presentation from our attorney, Robert McCabe, recreational marijuana impact of township's policy addendum. We welcome Mr. McCabe.
I have actually been trying to get a hold of Bob, and I have not been able to get hold of him yet. So I can answer questions generally. I don't have the policy in front of me, but I'm familiar with the law, so if you have general questions, I can answer those.
Can we table this then to the next meeting? And then-
Certainly.
And then would you be able to present for the next meeting?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll make sure that we figure out where he's at right now.
I move to table under old business recreational marijuana impact of township's policy addendum presentation by attorney Robert McCabe for the next board meeting.
I just have a quick question. We don't actually have a policy in place on it yet, do we?
No, this is the actual.
Basically trying to
Yeah, we
create.
don't have a ordinance or resolution or anything, so it's, so I can second you, but I'd like discussion.
Oh, yeah, that's
Okay,
the
so,
second.
Sorry. Yep.
yeah, I think it would be helpful to actually see, are you familiar with, well, let me ask this, are you familiar with other townships that have done this and passed resolutions and what they've done?
I'm generally familiar with the employment implications of the law, so I can answer general questions about what the law allows.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
So
Oh, sorry.
I guess that, you know, we haven't talked about this yet, obviously, because we have a not-confirmed. So, you know, it says after we receive a confirmed positive test indicating that the employee manifests symptoms that demonstrate impairment. I mean, somebody has the right to come to work having, you know, smoked, having cannabis prior to that. And so I listened to some of the discussions that the attorney from Hanover Township had presented that was given at Toya events and such.
Yeah.
So you actually have to show that impairment has been, you know, that you've been affected. So I guess.
It's like alcohol, like reasonable suspicion.
Yeah. So if somebody tested positive, that would not be cause to make any decision.
So the legislature made this very unclear because they amended the act recently in the trailer bill, and there's a new provision that says nothing in this law, there's no employer liability for enforcing reasonable drug testing policies and taking adverse disciplinary action based on those test results. What that means isn't very clear because there's still a provision in the law that says under the Right to Privacy in the Workplace Act that you can't discriminate or take any adverse employment action for using a lawful product. Come January 1st, this is going to be a lawful product. So there is some ambiguity there and there's some gray area. The way that at least the sponsors of the trailer legislation were trying to say that they're not prohibiting adverse employment action based on a drug test alone, or that can still be used to be some form of a basis to take disciplinary action. Again, we think there's a lot of gray area there. We hope it's going to be clarified coming up. But this kind of encompasses both aspects of it, that you really, there's still the provisions in there that say under the Right to Privacy in the Workplace Act, you know, you can discipline them for using it to be impaired on the job or things like that, or bringing it into the workplace. But also kind of encompassing now that there is that new language in there that says you can enforce reasonable drug testing policies and take adverse action based on those policies. We hope it's going to be cleared up in the near future by the legislation. But this is kind of trying to encompass both of those provisions in the law would be the way that I see it.
Any further discussion?
So if Toya, I guess one more comment then, if the Township Officials of Illinois has kind of adopted, I don't see this as being very, you know, the need being very different from township to township. It
No.
would seem to be a consistent policy, you know, throughout Illinois. I just assume wait until we see like what's really.
Yeah, I don't know if TOI has come out with an updated policy after the trailer bill, because obviously that changed the recommendation or the way that the law works pretty drastically from the employment side, because that language was not in there previously. And it was very clear that you could not take any adverse employment action for using cannabis off the job. Now there's this language strictly about drug testing, reasonable drug testing policies. Doesn't really address using it off the job, but obviously the way that drug tests work right now, it picks up a positive result even if you're not using it on the job. So.
And I think that our drug testing just pertains to like road and bridge, and where we have people that we don't even do drug testing blanketly.
Yeah.
Right? We're restricted in what we do. So would we want to?
And drug testing
Yeah,
for anybody that
discussion
has
there.
a CDL is also going to be a different, you know, that's going to be mandated by the federal government, so.
It's the
Commercial driver's license. Yeah, if you have a federally issued license, you still have to maintain a clean drug test, and that's not something that we obviously can control.
Thank you.
So the fact that we don't have drug testing across the board for all employees anyway, I don't know how that will play.
So the drug test can be used as evidence, additional evidence that somebody was impaired on the job. So it's like when you think somebody's drunk on the job, you send them for a test to see what their VAC is, and if that comes up, you can say, hey, there's more evidence here that you were impaired on the job. Same thing now, it's gonna be like reasonable suspicion. You think somebody's motor skills are impaired, the smell of cannabis, you think they might be impaired on the job, then you can send them for a drug test, and if it comes up positive, that's just additional evidence that might support that conclusion that they were impaired while in the workplace. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even though it might not necessarily say they used it in the workplace, it's
Right.
additional evidence. Like along with, reasonable suspicion, you're looking at everything about how you're going to conclude that they were impaired in the workplace. That's just going to be one component of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk?
Is this, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
is this proposed language or policy, is it very similar to other townships? It's like, or is it?
From what I'm aware, I think from an employment aspect, it's not really going to, at least from a lot of the clients that I've worked with, this is, we're doing a blanket policy that's going to apply, to all types of local governments, because it's not going to matter if you're a municipality, a park district, library, or township, it's really going to impact you the same way. So we've been working on standard policy that we're recommending to our clients globally.
And this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so, yeah. And obviously, Bob can give you the more specifics on it, but I know that we've been working with all of our clients trying to update their policies and having kind of a standard, rewrite of things to make sure you're compliant.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the table to table, which was seconded. Clerk Joannes, if you take the roll.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Here, yes.
Next order of business under old business is Ansel Clink hourly rate adjustment.
I didn't see anything in the board packet on this. And I did some,
It was from last time.
Yeah.
Last meeting.
right, but I thought we were getting to get something written or something to actually approve, or?
Well, I think that Carolyn just made a statement that their billing rate went up by, I think it was 2%.
$5 an hour.
And we said that we needed to vote it in.
Okay, so we just,
So I would make a motion to approve the increase of the hourly rate for our employers, Ansel Clink, the firm, from $200 per hour to $205 per hour.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Joannes, if you could take the roll.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
yes.
For approval of closed session minutes, can we stay here or do we have to go?
As long as you don't have any discussion about the content of the closed session, you can vote on it up here. If there's concern about releasing confidential information, then we can go into closed session and discuss that.
I would move to approve the minutes of the closed session of June 25, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion?
So are we approving and releasing them, or just approving them?
Those approved.
I believe that's just approving them for content, and then when you do your semi-annual review, you'll decide if they should be released or kept confidential.
Any further discussion? Not hearing further discussion, Clerk Joannes, will you take the roll?
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney?
Yes.
Next item of business, personnel. Do we have any personnel issues before us today? Not hearing any, then our next item is new business. Do we have any new business today? Next item, then not hearing any, and next item is official reports. If we could start with Trustee Jones.
Well, I hope that everybody had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. And I wish everyone the best of everything in the new year, not just the new year, but the new decade. And that concludes my report.
Trustee McKenzie.
Only report is happy that we were able to get our agency funding and our levy finalized, both at the special meeting we held a week or so ago, and looking forward to 2020 and trying to get some good township work done.
And trustee Sweetie.
As trustee McKenzie just said, I'm happy that we're through the levy process and that we've reduced the general assistance by 50% and the town fund by 15%. And I think we can look to even other possibilities of abatement, if that makes sense as we further our budget process and finalize that. So appreciate it and Happy New Year.
Clerk Giovanni, would you like to make a comment?
Other than my written report, I just wanted to pass along my condolences to Viesha Titko on the passing of her father. Obviously, that's why she's not here this evening.
Yes.
I know it's kind of hitting her hard. It was rather sudden. So, you know, our whole department is really trying to rally around her and pitched in this week. So my thoughts and prayers go out to her, especially this time of year. It's tough. And other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year to everybody coming up.
And my comments are joined in trustee Jones, trustee McKenzie, trustee Sweeney, and clerk Giovanni's repeating all those is fantastic. I also appreciate all the time and effort the board has put in looking to the issues of levies and the work that was done in November general meeting, our special meeting December 16th, in resolving many issues, important issues before the end of the year. And I wish everyone a very blessed new year. Thank you. Do we have anything? Administrator's report.
Other than Happy New Year to everybody, nothing to add.
And thank you for your participation today. And anything for closed session? Not seeing any. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
This
Hearing no
is
discussion.
definitely a record.
This is cool.
Having no discussion.
Not even by a little.
Do we have a unanimous yes? Yes. Happy New Year.